What is going on, everybody? It is episode 862 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. We are back from the weekend. I hope you all enjoyed your weekend. I know I did. What about you, Brett?
My weekend was fine. It was very hot out here.
It was.
Yeah.
Torturously hot.
I enjoyed it.
But I went to the movie theater for the first time in a while.
You
actually.
should. So let's do the intro, and then you can give some people your thoughts on the Materalists.
Right now?
No, we'll do the intro first. We'll get everything started right before we go into the main topics. Guys, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Remember to share the show and the segments out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, everybody in your life that you both like and dislike, especially the ones that you dislike, because if you do, you should argue with them about this show in the comments section. It increases our engagement. It will make me happy if and when I ever kind of have to scroll through the comments when I get into work on in the morning, and I enjoy seeing that. I want to see you and your uncle arguing about something that we put out. Perhaps tomorrow you can argue with your aunt about...
PCC brings not peace, but a sword.
Yes, you and your aunt can argue about Amanda Bynes tomorrow, perhaps. So we'll talk about that. Speaking of which, we got a bunch of stuff to get into. Amanda Bynes is going on her Ozempic journey because everything that women do is a journey.
Everyone does is a journey. Everything is a journey all the time.
It's because it's a term catered for making social media content.
Yeah, it's like, come with me on my Ozempic journey.
Yeah, so
get ready with me on my Labubu
She was on her OnlyFans journey, and then she was on her tattoo removal journey, and now she's on her Ozempic journey. And then Lizzo also gave her thoughts on Ozempic as well, which we will get into. I'm going to press X to doubt on at least some of those comments, but we'll talk about it. Also, Johnny Depp has given a new interview, and he's kind of reflecting on himself being the Me Too punching bag that he was back just a couple of years ago. And it dovetails quite nicely into a brand new play that I almost called her Amanda, that Amber Heard will be a part of. So everybody's in their post-Me Too controversy world.
It's a play, not a movie.
I think it's a play. We'll
check.
I think I read that it was a play.
Interesting. Because that seems to be what Rachel Zegler's career has been moving toward lately. She's not really doing much. She's not signing on to many movie projects or anything like that.
We'll wait and see.
Seems to be stage plays that she's more interested in, or maybe that's the only role that she can get at this point.
If I'm being honest, I mean, Rachel Zegler makes more sense on stage than...
Because that is
Amber
her background.
Heard. We're gonna count how many times I haven't done it yet, but we're gonna count how many times I confuse Amber Heard and Amanda Bynes today. We'll keep a counter.
Oh, they're nothing alike.
But the names, it's the Am. it's the.
Maybe they're long lost sisters.
I hope not. So we're gonna talk about Johnny Depp, and we are also gonna talk about Benson Boone, who you will know because Mary likes to do an impression of him.
Moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies. Yeah, Benson Boone is one of the new main pop stars, and he just released a new album. It's getting trashed. His personality, his entire existence is getting dragged right now, actually. It's not just his art that's being criticized. People hate Benson Boone for who he is. Yeah. Which seems to be going a little bit too far, but I'm kind of hopping on the bandwagon, I must admit.
Well, we'll talk about it. So we got a bunch of other stuff to get into. So why don't you give everybody your movie review? It's we don't get a whole lot of just like solo Mary movie reviews.
I mean, I don't want to spend too much time hemming and hawing about it, but I did go to the movie theater over the weekend, and I went to see A24's Materalists, which is written and directed by Celine Song, starring Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, and Pedro Pascal, and they're supposed to be in a love triangle. The first thing I'll say is this movie should not have been marketed as a rom-com. It is not romantic, nor is it comedic. It's actually quite somber and dark most of the time. Much darker themes than I expected, and they were marketing it and editing the trailer to lure you in, thinking it was lighthearted. That's not what I got.
Part of one of the things that I think is funny is like Hollywood has that problem when they're not, if it's not like just a straightforward action movie or a straightforward horror movie or a straightforward comedy where there is no, there's no like leeway at all to the genre. A lot of times, think of like Jennifer's Body. They didn't know how to market it. And they like that is a conversation that comes up with executives like, okay, this is a great script, but how do we market this? I think that's why they don't even bother with that anymore. Movies like this go to streaming often.
Right, it definitely
or it gets turned into a show.
More like a streaming movie, and it also dragged on for too long. But yeah, there was no romance, there was no chemistry, there was no comedy, there was nothing played for laughs in this movie, from what I could tell. And also the love triangle aspect of it wasn't very intriguing either, because there was no rivalry between Chris Evans, who plays Lucy's ex-boyfriend from 10 years ago, and Pedro Pascal, who plays the rich Mr. Right guy who has everything going for him on paper. There was no rivalry between the two of them.
No conflict?
No. And she seems to have no chemistry with her ex-boyfriend. And
Meaning
no
Chris
chemistry.
Evans.
Yeah, Chris Evans. And no chemistry with Pedro Pascal on screen either. So she's stuck between marrying for love with a guy she seems to have no chemistry with because he's Chris Evans, I guess, and then marrying for wealth with another guy that she has no chemistry with. And that would make sense if she had this electric chemistry on screen with Chris Evans, the poor guy, but she didn't. So I was confused about what the push and pull of it all was.
Wait, that's Dakota Johnson, right?
Yes.
I think she's just anti-chemistry.
Maybe it's her. Maybe she's the problem.
Didn't they say that she had no chemistry in 50 Shades of Grey, too?
I didn't watch that, so I don't know. She was in that, right? She's pretty blank.
I think she just... I think she's hilarious in a really, really, like, empty vessel kind of... She's very dry.
Yeah.
Which works for a certain type of character, but if the idea is that you have to have like really, really electric chemistry with somebody, she would have to be able to emote to show that.
Right.
Emoting isn't really the type of acting I get from her. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. There's plenty of actors who can pull off deadpan where it's their thing. But if the script calls for more than that, then it seems like she's not the person you hire for this.
Most of it kind of centers around her having a moral crisis about her career, because she is a professional matchmaker. She works for a matchmaking agency in New York and makes a modest living, but meets a lot of crazy people through her line of work. One of her clients ends up on a date that she set up and ends up getting assaulted on that date. And sorry for the spoiler, but I don't think any of you were planning on seeing this. She goes through this crisis where she doesn't know if she should be a matchmaker anymore because she's putting people in danger. And she's at first planning to get with Pedro Pascal, who is a unicorn, as she put it. All the math. He is 6'2", he's a multi-millionaire, he's handsome. Again, I think Pedro Pascal is being astroturfed. It probably should have been Chris Evans playing the rich guy and Pedro Pascal playing the struggling actor.
I mean, that's them doing the subverting expectations thing.
It was lame. But then she decides she doesn't want to get married as a business deal. She wants to be in love with the man she marries. So she breaks up with Pedro Pascal, and they agree that he's going to become one of her clients, and she's going to matchmake him with somebody. But then she kind of flips back and forth on whether she wants to get back together with her ex-boyfriend, who's broke and a loser, and he doesn't really have any redeeming qualities that distract from that. It would be different if he were broke and has a heart of gold.
Chris Evans being smaller now, he gives dweeb energy when he's not jacked. So he actually, in my mind's eye, he works for that role.
Well, it would make sense if her broke ex-boyfriend were this great guy who has this amazing charisma, or he is, this great guy who has all of these personality traits she finds attractive, but he's just not a great person, and he has no aspirations. And
they should have got Armie Hammer.
It was just weird. I don't know. Like, I just didn't know what we were supposed to be rooting for the entire time. This movie, most of all, made me realize that I must be conservative, because I cannot engage with art. I'm just not capable of it. I walk away from every movie thinking like, well, what was the moral of the story? And if it doesn't have that, I get angry.
I literally never think of that question.
Maybe that shows that temperamentally you're more liberal than I am, but I just can't do it.
Let me rephrase. So when I came out of the Crow reboot, I am able to say that there's a problem with it because I have the original film to look at as kind of the film negative of it. Like, this is what it should have looked like as far as the morality of drug use and what that movie was trying to say. But that's because I was looking for it because it was there in the original film and it was well done. But I don't go searching for that type of moral question when I watch a movie. I tend to be more interested in how the characters' dynamics worked.
Well, I just wish that movies had some sort of lesson or some sort of message or perspective, but it doesn't have a perspective at all.
I just started watching 24, and I was watching this sounds like a weird non sequitur, but it's not. I was watching this like 4-hour long retrospective of House, and this guy makes he makes the claim that the show was inspired by the Bush administration, and he gets to talking about how like Hollywood producers were being approached by members of the Bush administration. He's like, could you stop showing Jack Bauer torturing people? Because that's what they think we do with everyone. And like that's as close as I get to thinking about morality in that situation.
Well, that's more about the reverberations from what the
But even
project.
then, like I think about it in the show. I was like, well, he's torturing like 30 people, but his wife and his daughter were kidnapped. So, of course he's going to torture people. Mm-hmm. So I would say, having not been one to see it, I would say Dakota Johnson was probably the issue.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a hoot in a Madam Web way.
Chris Evans can be charismatic when he's given the right material. Pedro Pascal has never interested me outside of maybe the ability to be the best of a bad bunch in dramatic roles, like in The Last of Us. As I said, like I think he carried the weight of those dramatic scenes, but that wasn't like I was saying like this show wouldn't have worked with somebody else. Any good, reasonably decent dramatic actor could have been dropped into those scenes and done them. He's not somebody that I think of as like being absolutely indispensable to any of his portrayals.
Well, I just wish that it were more black and white, because Pedro Pascal's character is the guy that she doesn't love but wants to marry for his money. Although his personality is nothing, there's nothing wrong with him. He's not a womanizer. He's not a drug addict. He's not.
So not interesting either.
Anything. There's nothing wrong with him. And he actually wants to get married for some of the right reasons. He said to her, like, I want to marry someone I can trust, who's going to be a lifelong partner. We're buried next to each other. Mm-hmm. I respect you. I think you're valuable. And I think that we make sense together for reasons beyond just the superficial. I felt like that was a really good monologue. But then Chris Evans is just saying, like, I love you and I'm useless and a struggling actor at the age of 37, but, like, we can make it work. And by the end of it, she does end up with Chris Evans. A lot of women don't like the ending, I've noticed. But
they wanted her to end up with the rich guy?
No, yeah, they wanted her to be with Pedro Pascal because there's nothing wrong with him as a character. That it would have made it so much easier to understand if Pedro Pascal were rich but kind of a piece of shit, and she was just willing to make the trade-off. But he's actually a nice person. Or
he goes on some type of character growth journey in the movie where he starts off as a piece of shit. Then she becomes the guy, or he becomes her client and goes through some type of reformation, and they come back to each other in the end. That could be interesting. But even then, it leaves into question like what they're saying about rich versus poor, and you've kind of written yourself into a corner.
And then Chris Evans proposes to her he doesn't even kneel down. He ties.
He's only got one pair of jeans.
He ties a daisy into a circle and puts it on her finger at the end. And then they leave you on a cliffhanger as to whether or not she's going to continue being a professional matchmaker, because they offer her this huge promotion and she's like, I'll think about it. Okay. But I think possibly, the ultimate message of the movie that I can take away from it is that highly intelligent, high agency people probably feel more that they need to marry for love because they're more self-reflective. And maybe the people that she's taking on as clients aren't as introspective about their lives and are willing to marry for more superficial reasons. Maybe that's what the the takeaway could be.
Maybe.
That was my takeaway.
Okay.
I think. I don't know, but yeah, if any of you have seen it, give me your thoughts. I doubt you have, though.
All right.
It's not going to make waves.
I do believe, after my whining and complaining the other day, that I bought tickets to go see F1 on Thursday. So my new strategy is, like, if I go into a movie not feeling like I need to do a review, my natural feelings of guilt will cause me to take notes anyways. Because otherwise I go into it like, ugh.
I did not take notes.
So I'm going to take notes, I'm sure, even though I can't guarantee I'm going to do a review, but that's really just me kind of hedging my bets. Mm-hmm. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I've seen good reviews for it, and it's the director who made Top Gun Maverick. So I'm interested to see it. And I liked Gran Turismo, as an aside, 2 years ago, the Gran Turismo movie. So we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's get started.
Miley Cyrus fans are in an uproar right now, and I'll tell you why. So recently she released her new album, Something Beautiful, and she did a signing party for her fans in London, joined by Naomi Campbell, a supermodel who happens to be on the Epstein flight logs, but that'll come up later. And it just seemed like during this entire signing event, she was ignoring her fans just to get a chance to queen out with Naomi Campbell the entire time. She wasn't paying attention to them when they were trying to take selfies with her or compliment her. Didn't care at all about fan service, as you can see in this video.
Here.
This fan is just getting totally ghosted.
Right behind you. 1, 2, 3. There you go.
And then in this one fan selfie, you can see Miley isn't even looking in her direction.
She looks sad.
She said, "I'm over here, bestie." Miley looks kind of spaced out. Maybe it's not Naomi Campbell's fault. It's Miley's fault. Some of her fans said, "Is Miley aware that she doesn't have to do these events? That means that what she did to her fans. This is a signing. You are literally ignoring the fans to talk to your co-star. These people paid to get to see you. The least you can do is make eye contact, listen to them, shower you with compliments, sign some shit, and take a photo." And some people were defending her, saying, you know, she is traumatized from being a child star, so she can't be expected to,
okay.
You know, fulfill her obligations.
I was going to leave look, come on. You can't use that excuse for literally everything.
Well, apparently you can.
At the very least, there should be some sense of decorum around, like, where that excuse comes into play, right? You couldn't be like, she was, like, in this situation, how about she just didn't get enough sleep the night before? Let's not go straight to she was raped by a bunch of Hollywood producers.
Okay, I don't know if anyone said that. But yeah, some people were saying she has every excuse in the book because she's dealing with unresolved trauma from her childhood, and we can't judge her for how she acts as an adult.
Does she say that when she gets caught running a red light? Like, she runs the red light, the officer's like, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" Yeah. She's like, "It's because I was used as a plaything amongst Hollywood executives when I was a child."
Well, this reminds me of the conversation we were having about Chappell Roan last week. And she is constantly bemoaning the obligations of being a celebrity. And she says, as a celebrity, she does not owe her fans a selfie. She does not owe her fans a hug. If she's out in public minding her own business, she cannot be expected to fulfill all of the desires of her fan base. And when Phil was joining us for that conversation, he said he feels Chappell Roan needs to stand on business and not, you know, backtrack and apologize and then assert herself all over again. She should probably just stick to giving people what they pay for. And that's how he feels as a musician. If he's doing a paid event, a meet and greet, a VIP thing, if people are paying for signed albums or guitars, whatever, he has to fulfill those obligations because that's
his job.
The free market. That's what people have paid for. That's
Otherwise,
part of your
they'll
job.
Go elsewhere.
And if he's out in public at a coffee shop, whatever, you know, maybe he would feel similarly to Chappell Roan, like, I don't necessarily owe you a signing or a selfie or whatever.
He should bring like a little sign like that you put on the autograph table with pricing lists.
Right.
Like, oh, he's like napkins, $5.99.
No, like a laminated printout.
No. It's like, because it's got to be whatever's there.
Do you want the
at
basic
the restaurant.
experience or the premium experience? And this also reminds me of similar controversy that a smaller artist, Gracie Abrams, the daughter of J.J. Abrams, is going through right now. I wanted to play this reel about it. Okay. She was trashing a bunch of gifts given to her by fans during her tour.
See Abrams fans who are not so happy with her after what happened at a recent show. She left all of the gifts and the letters that were given to her by fans at the venue. She didn't take any of them with her and just left them for staff members of the venue to throw out. The photos were posted by somebody who works at the venue, and they even said, feel so bad throwing all of this out, especially because so many of the items were personal letters and homemade gifts. Some people have weighed in saying that it makes sense that she wouldn't keep everything that she gets, especially because she has over 80 shows on this tour. So that's a lot of gifts that she probably receives. And others are saying that she shouldn't receive gifts in the first place if she's not going to read the letters or take anything with her. So what do you think?
I see a comment that says it's because people hide air tags and cameras in them.
It's a possibility.
The air tag, definitely.
If there's food, certainly you should not eat it.
People have brought food to the old location and tried to give it to us, and it's like, yeah, no one's eating that. Like, not to be rude, like, thank you for the effort, assuming that you're, not.
No, but also you're showing up unannounced to a location that you are not welcome at. That's absolutely unacceptable. Miley posted about the fan signing after the fact, saying, thank you for celebrating the release day with me. Laughing with you is my favorite. I'll miss you until we reunite. Love you forever.
What she really meant was she was actually saying that to Naomi Campbell, not to everybody else.
Literally, that's all that she was saying to Naomi. Then she said, thanks everyone who showed up to the signing. We adored meeting you. If you missed it, get your life and our vinyl that's available now. And one comment said, I was there and you ignored me. Even though I'm pretty sure I spent all my money in my life buying your music and stuff. Not fair. Celebrities should give back the money we spent on them. They should pay our taxes. Okay. So on one hand, I agree. If you're a celebrity doing a paid VIP meet and greet event, you are absolutely obligated to give the fans what they paid for. On the other hand, a lot of these people are insane parasocial maniacs, such as the one who commented that, who believe that celebrities owe them everything simply because they're rich and privileged.
I was just seeing this, it was Rachel Zegler defending her bodyguard against somebody saying something rude about her, right? And the bodyguard, somebody moves like closer and he like pushes her. He's basically inserting his arm between her and the crowd, and somebody took a freeze frame of it, and it was literally the meme that we always talk about. It's like, look at the way he comforts her, because people are parasocial lunatics who are now developing a relationship between her and this random bodyguard.
We're
because
talking
people are lunatics.
Johnny Depp comes up later in the show, but similarly, people were writing actual fan fiction about him and his lawyer, Camille Vasquez, back in 2022. These people are insane. They should not be catered to in their delusions. And I honestly think if Miley had been kind to her fans at this event, nobody would be causing any controversy about her friendship with Naomi Campbell. But because she pissed them off, they're saying, you're aligning yourself with a suspected PDF file.
Which they wouldn't have pointed out if she had just been polite to her fans. You know what? They need to take the old pro wrestling approach. Like, Miley's going to have to go back to a bad girl era where she's playing a heel. That way, being mean to fans feels on brand. You can't be in an era where you're being polite to fans and then be rude to them once in a while. It's not on brand.
Well, none of Miley's bad girl era consisted of doing anything to piss her own fans off.
But it should. You should take it to the extreme. Like, go to the signings, sign half your name, don't sign the other half. Write little insults to your fans on there.
Well,
they'll grow to like it, I guarantee it.
She might be revisiting her Wild Child era because she's going on a retrospective tour called Every Miley You've Ever Loved, which includes
her Eras tour?
Yes, it's her own version of the Eras tour. All of these people are trying to capture the magic of the Eras tour, and they can't seem to make the ticket sales happen. but it's paying tribute to every era of her career, including when she was on Disney, because she just got the rights back to perform the Hannah Montana songs again. And she's going to be doing all of the Bangers era hits. But I think overall she's flopping. People are not liking her new music, and they're not liking her new personality, and they're not liking her new teeth.
Well, she's going to have to work very hard to... okay, look, let's be honest. People are going to forget about this in T-minus 8 minutes.
Oh,
Nobody's going to care.
Everyone's making a comeback now,
yeah.
Including Ezra Miller.
Yes, he is.
Ezra Miller might as well just come be a guest on our show, because we've talked about him so much, especially in 2022 at the height of some of his controversies. We also reviewed The Flash when that came out in 2023. Since then, he's been kind of MIA in Hollywood, but it appears he's trying to make some sort of a comeback. He attended the Cannes Film Festival, and just over the weekend, he was on the red carpet at the Filming Italy event. Wearing a dress and a crocheted watermelon hair clip, which I assume is a reference to Palestine, watermelon country. And he's got his hair just flowing freely, and his chest hair is fully on display. He looks, just about as weird as you would expect. I just, before we move into his recent comments, want to get into a timeline of his controversies, because it's almost never ending, and this is not an exhaustive list.
No.
In April 2020, Ezra Miller was caught on video appearing to choke a woman at a bar in Reykjavik, Iceland. The woman involved recounted the incident, describing that it escalated from fun and games to being chokeslammed by Ezra Miller.
Yeah, and throwing anything not nailed down at women.
Then in March 2022, Ezra Miller was arrested in Hawaii for disorderly conduct and harassment at a karaoke bar. They're referring to him with they, them pronouns because he identifies as non-binary. They pleaded no contest to the charges and paid a fine. Miller reportedly became agitated when patrons began singing a karaoke rendition of Shallow from A Star Is Born, leading them to yelling obscenities and lunging at a man playing darts.
In my mind, he auditioned for that movie, didn't get it, and got really pissed.
It was bringing up some bad memories. And then in April 2022, he was arrested a second time in Hawaii for second-degree assault after throwing a chair at a woman in a bar, causing a half-inch gash on her forehead. In January of that same year, a video surfaced where Ezra Miller told members of the North Carolina chapter of the KKK to K themselves with their own guns, or else, quote, "we'll do it for you if that's what you want." In June 2023, it was reported that Ezra Miller had been manipulating and controlling a teenager who goes by Gibson, the daughter of an attorney and activist named Chase Iron Eyes and his wife, Sarah Jumping Eagle. Since the year 2016, he met this girl when she was 12, and they embarked on a friendship because she was a fan of his. Lots of different rumors involving drug use, sleeping in the same bed, weird stuff. Definitely seemed predatory. And then August 22, he issued a public apology for past behavior, acknowledging that he was suffering from complex mental health issues. And he expressed a commitment to addressing these issues and returning to a healthy, safe, and productive stage in life. This is not even scratching the surface, though. There's so much more we could get into, but it's not really worth our time right now. He went to the Filming Italy appearance in Cannes, and he did an interview with the press there about his return to Hollywood and why he's at this event anyway. He's not promoting any particular project that he's in.
Yeah, I assumed when I first saw the clip, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
is he in a movie? But he wasn't. Like, he plans to work with a director who was there and,
Yes.
and is going to be making a movie, which he and this director are both going to write.
He was essentially showing up as a +1 to this director named Lynn Ramsey.
It's also interesting how in both of the articles that I read regarding this topic, not just the video, they acknowledge that his behavior has been criminal and weird at least, right? At the very least, weird, if not criminal, but they're still going by the pronouns, which disassociates you from the entirety of the language and it's a whole thing.
He was even outwardly using his identity as non-binary to try to get out of criminal
when the cops arrested him. During
an arrest video, he was literally saying, like, you can't do this to me. I'm non-binary, transgender, blah, blah, blah. I think he was demanding a female officer arrest him because of that, which is absolutely insane. But I think we just need to react to this interview because he hasn't seemed to, recover mentally since the height of his controversy.
So let's go ahead and
last couple years. By the way, pause. For those listening rather than watching, he's wearing an ascot and also a t-shirt that says Free Winona, which is actually a reference to Winona Ryder's shoplifting scandal in the early 2000s.
All right, here we go.
Currently stand in your relationship with the cinema now?
Tentative. I'd say on tentative grounds. I came to Cannes to support one of my closest friends in the world, who's Lynn Ramsey, who I think is one of the greatest living filmmakers. I'm working with her again. That will likely be the first thing I do, is a film that her and I are writing together. I've been writing a lot, because you can do that in solitude, which has been friendly to me. So writing with Lynn, and I came to Cannes because she asked me to come, and if there's anything I really still believe in my life, it's devotion to one's people, to one's loved ones, to one's friends, to one's comrades, above all else. I didn't necessarily want to go to Cannes. I had a bit of a hard time. That's a tough re-entry point. If you've been in the woods for 3 years, I do not recommend going straight to Cannes, where every photographer and every weirdo, every rich genocidal freak be there. You know what I mean? Like, it's not an easy re-entry. But yeah, I did that for Lynn. I would do anything for Lynn. You know what I mean? This is the stuff I can still know and keep a track on. Is like, I ride for my friends. That's always been true of me.
Pretty
it always
ironic
will be true
for Ezra Miller to call anyone else a weirdo.
It's the right moment and the right person.
Yeah, thank you. I think so too. I believe in her more than the rest of it, really. Is that when we go through those crucibles, if we can survive, which was up in the air for me, if I'm being...
How old is Ezra Miller? He's graying already.
I think that he's in his late 20s. Let me check.
Real. We then have that capacity...
Oh no, he's 32.
...to see other people in their crucibles and just to reach towards them. And I think that grows more and more rarefied in our world too, like the capacity to do that, the desire to do that, the willingness to do that. We've become very consumed in notions of perception, self-perception, how we're perceived in the world. I really believe in digging past that and being a friend to people. And the people who did that for me they have my lifelong devotion, And also I'm grateful for the revelations of who was not that. You really, when you work in this industry, you will find yourself in deep, deep relation with a lot of people who do not give a single fuck about you or your well-being at all. And so...
I feel like one of the things that they really get hung up on there is they really get upset by the idea that people aren't going to care about them 100% all the time, which is just a fact of life.
Yeah, even Johnny Depp doesn't entirely blame all of the people who disassociated from him during his Hollywood boycott, you know? But Ezra Miller, after repeated criminal action, expects people to be his day one, like, ride or die. It's,
not that I don't hold a lot of remorse and lamentation for a lot of things that I did and for a lot of things that happened in that time. But I'm really, really grateful for the lessons that came with that abyss. Artistic regrets. No, I think I eschew the concept. I don't really. I'll be honest. You know, probably the reason why I don't is I don't really think about it. Like, the process is for me where the magic is. The work is for other people's judgment. You know, for me, it's not my job. It's not my job to figure out whether an expression I was involved in is good or bad or how it compares to other expressions. Or that's y'all's business. You know what I mean? So in that way, I think I've avoided that, which sounds like a real meat hook.
You said that. You're like, what does that mean?
Sounds like a real meat hook. I have no idea what that means.
I agree with him on the last part. Like,
they might have been asking in a roundabout way if he regrets being the star of The Flash in the DC.
Like, it's the least thing he has to worry about.
That's the least of his worries by far. Yeah. I don't see him having mainstream success. He was definitely poised for it at one moment in his career, but he torched that.
Yeah, I mean,
quite definitively.
He's kind of past the point of being able to be salvageable on a large scale. Not to say that he won't get work. Like a lot of these people in these positions, they'll always get work.
Art house
He'll make enough money, and I'm sure he's made more than enough money. They talk about that in the interview. That, you know, he's a rich millionaire. I'm sure he was paid very well for the big roles that he did have, and as long as he doesn't waste it all on, I guess, drugs and guns.
I mean, yeah, he might actually have wasted a lot of his fortune on those types of things.
Yeah.
But I think he seems like someone extremely self-absorbed, and also like he has fried his brain with drugs. Like, he has no idea how he comes off to people anymore.
I find that shocking.
Like, look at this guy, okay? He doesn't have a care in the world. He's in his divine feminine, okay? He doesn't even know that in that interview, people think he comes off like a weirdo, and he feels he is at liberty to call the rest of his industry weirdos.
Okay, so that was the other thing
Broken
that
clock moment.
I found very interesting is he talked about the genocidal freaks of his industry, which is an interesting thing to admit that you are okay with being a part of. Like, you know they exist, but you're just existing within that sphere.
Well, he's like, I'm on the periphery. I'm not like the other Hollywood weirdos. I'm different.
Yeah.
I'm above it all.
I don't know.
I only care about the art.
Like, I don't know who he's talking about when he says genocidal freaks. Like, is that just
could be referring to Palestine. I'm sure that he is a Free Palestine dude, and there are a lot of Jew Zionists in Hollywood who feel completely the opposite way about that issue. So maybe that's what he was referring to. I don't know.
Perhaps so. And that was just his cloaked way of saying it. He also brought up like tentative return to Hollywood, and talk about because YouTube and AI are killing all those jobs. Like, you know what he needs to do is he would be a hilarious YouTube vlogger.
He needs to get on Cameo.
He needs a YouTube vlogging channel, and it has to be low tech, not Will Smith with like all the high production quality. He needs to take like an iPhone 6 and start vlogging his day on his weed farm firing guns.
He literally is the libertarian fantasy.
He kind of is in a weird way. So I'm gonna need him to do that. If he's going to start creating content.
He could do like get ready with me vlogs, and it doesn't consist of showering.
Yeah.
He just rolls out of bed.
Don't get ready with me because I'm already ready.
Throws on a dress and expects us to call him ma'am.
Yeah, I'm assuming all his court cases are done pending, and that he's gotten off scot-free, as I assumed.
We never really followed up on any of it because it fizzled out quickly after The Flash came out. And
well, I think it was the grooming allegations that really did that movie in. Like there is a fine line in Hollywood where they're like, he threw a chair. Like a month later, they're like, was it at a woman or a guy? I don't know. And then he's just eccentric.
If it were just the non-binary stuff and just the violent altercations in Hawaii moment, that would be one thing. They'd probably overlook it, but the rest of it was related to children.
It was Dakota Iron Eyes?
Dakota Iron Eyes, who now identifies as Gibson,
Okay.
which I think is probably due to Ezra Miller's influence and that is a known fetish that some men have, you know, defeminization, like that seemed like a very obvious case to me. Yeah. And they clearly had an inappropriate friendship. There's no such thing as a friendship between an adult and a 12-year-old who, by the way, met because one of them is a fan who idolizes the adult. That's insane.
Yeah, even Drake can't say that it was because Millie Bobby Brown was just a fan of...
They said like that her parents were like, she ran off with this guy. He encouraged her to drop out of school. You know, it was very disturbing.
Yeah. So that is Ezra's planned comeback. And remember last week when Ryan Coogler said that women are the better directors. It looks like Ezra Miller agrees and said that this woman that he's making a movie with is the best director there is.
Never heard of her.
So we'll have to wait and see if that comes out, and when it does, maybe he'll make a movie with Kevin Spacey.
Last week, Meghan Markle appeared on the Aspire podcast opposite British businesswoman Emma Grede. I'm not kidding you. Her last name is actually Grede. It's just spelled with an E at the end. Anyway, they talked about launching a brand, rewriting what it means to build under relentless public scrutiny. In her first wide-ranging interview about her new company, As Ever, Meghan joins Emma for a candid conversation about the pressure, the pivots, and the power of betting on yourself when the world is watching.
I actually agreed with an E. Looks like greedy.
It was a lot about, you know, self-work and self-care and confidence and authenticity, and Meghan Markle, of all people, is going to tell us what it's like to serve realness.
She would come off as more real if she didn't seem so preoccupied with the notion of seeming authentic.
Right. Well, the most
authentic thing she could do would be to stop talking about authenticity.
That was what they addressed in this clip from the interview about her authenticity, and she defended her choice to post the infamous baby mama dance video from 4 years back in the delivery room, trying to crown by twerking.
Here we go.
You have to be authentic.
Just be authentic. Did you see my baby mama dance?
I mean, stop it. First of all, can I just tell you the timing of that? We maybe watched it like 20 times yesterday, and I was like, is that her?
Oh my God.
Is that Prince Harry there with the fingers and the... I was like, okay. Yeah. Okay. Meghan and Harry, let's go.
But I think it's...
But that's you, right? Like, that's you in a way that we kind of haven't been able to see you before. And I did like a little secret cheer because I was like, well, that's what I kind of want to see from you. Like, I want to see that happiness and that honesty and that, like, I don't give a
But also, by the way, that wasn't yesterday.
No, true.
That was 4 years ago. So it's also a really great reminder that with all the noise or whatever people do, there's still a whole life, a real, authentic, fun life that's happening behind the scenes. I'm just grateful that now, being back on social as well, I have a place where I can share it on my own terms.
On your own terms.
Okay.
It's so hilariously ironic because right before this clip, Meghan is saying, it's so tiresome when people are so rehearsed and they have to be reading from a script all the time. That's literally what you do. And she also claimed that she doesn't use her personal social media to promote her business. That's why she shares these behind the scenes clips of her family life. It's not to promote herself or boost her image. She uses it for authentic sharing, such as twerking. And that's to show her fun, crazy side.
Again, this is nothing new from other celebrities. It's just that the other celebrities don't have a problem with people thinking of them as inauthentic.
Well, this podcast host, this businesswoman, she also interviewed Gwyneth Paltrow. And Gwyneth Paltrow is everything Meghan Markle wishes she could be. Yeah. She's shamelessly out of touch. She's like, yeah, I have personal chefs. I have housekeepers. I have chauffeurs. I don't care that I can't relate to the general public. I am who I am. Buy my product. Buy my vagina candle. Take it or leave it. This is me. And that's more authentic than posting a video of yourself twerking to seem authentic. And that's what people are selling these days. Like, authenticity is a product.
Yeah, it's the best social media influencers understand that putting on the air of realness is actually an art. in a lot of ways. Like, there is a fine line where sometimes, because if you look too unprepared and it looks too unpolished, then it just doesn't catch and it doesn't actually attract the eyes of anyone. But if you are overly produced, like I said with Will Smith when he started his YouTube channel, people see right through it, and it is a fine line. It's an art to making somebody seem accessible and relatable without making it seem contrived and forced. I don't envy them. I would never want to do that for a living. It sounds horrible.
I mean, a much easier life for her would have been to just stick with the royal family and follow the rules, but she decided to forge her own path and deal with the consequences. Speaking of putting on airs, that reminds me of another clip that went viral. Her ability to turn very ordinary things that almost everyone on Earth does daily into some self-congratulatory achievement worthy of a Nobel Prize is unrivaled, almost beyond parody. This is her talking about the fact that she puts together lunches for her kids before school every day.
To be fair, I'll give her a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here as you're being served up these interview questions. This is the coursework in being self-congratulatory.
Like, yes, tell us more about the lunches that you pack for the kids.
Now,
You're
however,
such a super mom.
But the thing is it would look just as inauthentic if she then went on Instagram Live and said the same thing.
Right.
But here we go.
I don't want to miss a moment for my children. And I love that I can do drop off and pick up at school and do meetings in between and go to Disneyland for 2 days, as we just did. And volunteer to serve hot lunch at school or be the chaperone for the kindergarten field trip.
So good. You're making
I love packing the lunchbox.
You do?
Yes. That's like,
stop it, Meghan. No, you don't. Do you
Yes,
do
I
it?
do.
Lisa, do you like make shapes and like make it look all beautiful? Is it a sprinkle situation? Are we putting?
Sometimes.
Oh my God.
I love.
My kids are all going to move into your house.
No, stop. I think, but look, to your point, like that sounds ridiculous, but I love it. At the end of a long day, the kids are down to bed at like 7-ish. I can go downstairs, have a glass of wine. I'm doing their little lunch, but I find joy in it. I don't want.
It's all about those little moments of joy. Imagine Meghan Markle is your mom, by the way, and you go to school and you open your lunchbox and you've got flour sprinkles littering all of your food. Her kids are not eating that shit.
They throw it away and
No.
get lunch from the a la carte from school.
Stop with your flour sprinkles. And, it is putting on airs the way that she wistfully looks up at the ceiling. She's like, and going to, and her little voice crack, like the way that she kind of makes her voice, a little bit raspy there. Going to Disney with the kids for a 2-day trip, and doing the little chaperone thing and the lunch boxes, and I'm just such a super mom and a female founder, and I just somehow I do it all and I'm a fucking saint. Like, that was the message, right? I'm the woman who can do it all. I'm so perfect, blah, blah, blah. That is why people find you inauthentic. It's a very simple equation.
It would actually probably become more authentic if we heard this from her husband and he was saying the exact same thing. Somehow that would seem less fake.
To relate it to a personal experience, I went to several private Christian schools growing up. And at all of them, there was an intense parent hierarchy, an intense parent competition almost. Like there was definitely a lot of status being thrown around, and it was all fueled by the moms about what car you pick up the kids in and the lunches that you pack your kids and who's hosting the play dates and who has the best birthday party. And it sounds so ridiculous, but this is how people live their lives. And it's a waste of your life to be thinking about these superficialities. But it's not just Meghan Markle. And, you never relate to someone who acts like that because their entire life is a front.
Yeah, I wanted to pull up the she made a post at the start of the new year where it was like welcome to 2025 and she wrote it in the sand, and like does the thing where she comes up to it with her phone to like look at 2025 in the sand, and people spotted that she tried it in another part of the beach and like crossed it out and did it elsewhere. That's what they mean by inauthentic. That like, look, and everyone's kind of guilty of it in the age of social media. It's like if you look at old photos of yourself that were taken on I mean maybe you never experienced this, with like a film camera, and you didn't have a say in what it looked like. There's something more endearing about it, even if you don't think it looks that great. But when you have access to looking to see how the photo turns out right away, you're going to retake the photo several times because you're going to see something you don't like about it. And that is a recipe for inauthentic portrayal of anything.
But this is why social media can turn into such a vice for women specifically, because their core temptation is comparison, which is the thief of joy. And with the parents that I'm talking about, the parents of the other kids at my schools, whatever, they didn't have social media. They were, at least you could say, they were playing a comparison game with people they actually knew in real life with face-to-face interaction. But then when social media gets introduced, it becomes all the more sinister. And in a very real way, Meghan Markle is trying to portray herself as the mom and the business owner and the girl boss and the trad wife all at once. And no one believes that any one individual person is capable of that. So you have to be hiding something. That's what makes people uneasy about her. You have to be hiding something, some ugly side from social media in order to accomplish this persona and this image that you're putting forth.
Yeah, and maybe it's also like men will never see the day where it comes out that she's monstrous to her husband, though she probably is. And if they ever get divorced, it'll end up being his fault. He was a bad guy, and we'll never have any proof or evidence to the contrary. And we'll find out that she'll become a victim in the later years.
I don't think they're going to get divorced.
You don't think they're going to get divorced?
No. I mean, I think they're the exact type of toxic couple that is codependent, and they're never going to leave each other because they feed into each other's worst instincts.
Not in the age of social media. There's a time limit on stuff like that. I think that they probably...
I could be proven wrong.
But...
Clip this, but my bets are on Harry and Meghan for the long run.
All right, we'll have to wait and see. All right, what would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see cute first.
Cute first? Okay. All right, I have submitted cute of the day today. I took this photo on Saturday night. This is Tatum.
Aww.
He lives in an insurance company and he has a race car bed. He literally is in the window of the insurance company. He just sleeps there.
He's just zooming past everyone.
Yeah, he is a fantastic cat.
I love an orange cat.
Yep, and he's got his race car bed.
I would never own an orange cat.
I asked Olivia to get a race car bed. She said no for some reason. I have no idea why. So, but it's very so we saw another one. We were in Gettysburg over the weekend, and there was another business that has a cat out front there
with a race car bed.
This one did not have a race car bed. But this one was far more willing to engage with us. The other one just slept right through. Like, it wasn't just us. It was like other people who were walking by who like had heard the legend of this cat that lived in the window and just slept right through everybody. Like,
I know for a fact that cats are aware of you taking photos. Some of them love it.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them live for the attention. They're little cat models and they pose for you. Other cats run at the sight of a camera, and I'm convinced it's because they can see with their cat eyes, their cat vision, they can see the infrared, of the camera flash.
So the other day, we have the two neighborhood cats that come out and about, Bucket and Dusty. They're brothers. They hang out in the neighborhood. And the other night, I came home, and Bucket was, so in our, like where we live, at our apartment, it's got like a stair set and a railing right there. And he was just waiting on the railing like
Ominous.
this. No, and it was awesome. And I took out my camera to get a picture of him on the railing. And he just got up and got down. And Olivia, we have the Ring camera footage of me taking out my camera to take my phone to take a picture of him. And he gets down and I go,
he's shy.
I got my shoulders slump and I got really sad because I didn't get a photo of it. But it was very adorable. All right, let's do cringe of the day.
This is pickup artist, I suppose.
Oh, okay.
Hey, you look nice. What's your name?
I don't
I don't want to talk with you now either. Nice to meet you. See you. Goodbye. Peace. What's up, bro? Looking jacked over here. Pleasure. Look, move around, man. Tank had some ego over here. Like, whatever. Hey, you look nice. Give a compliment. You don't want to talk to me? All right, peace. Goodbye. See you. Look. Keeping it real.
I can literally feel him burning from like embarrassment.
No regrets. She felt the ore. She's like, oh, this dude's got too much ore. How do I mash it? You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't. That's why I'm out of here. Goodbye.
That's why she rejected you, because you have too much aura. She was intimidated.
The amount of bluster was unbelievable.
I love that she just did something most women wouldn't do and just said, I don't want to talk to you. Like, that's such a nuclear comeback.
Well, also the camera was on her, I'm sure. Like, either way. Yeah. Like, she saw that and knew that she was part of some type of skit and was like, get the fuck out of here.
Right. Good on her.
All right.
Queen.
Let's get started then.
It's been a minute since we last checked in on Amanda Bynes, and it doesn't look like things are going so well in her personal life. She's struggling with her weight and has now turned to Ozempic. And she announced this to her followers on Instagram, saying she is at the start of her Ozempic journey and plans to document all of it for us to see. And she is saying her main reason for going on Ozempic isn't just for weight loss, it's also so that she can avoid getting unflattering paparazzi photos.
I respect the honesty. She's like, look, if I'm going to get captured by the paparazzi going out, I at least want to look good in the photo.
Let's see her Instagram video.
Here we go.
So I on Ozempic.
She's
so excited. I'm 173 now. So I hope to get down to like 130, which would be awesome. So I look better in paparazzi pictures and you don't see my double chin from strange angles. Yeah, so that's about it. I will post about my Ozempic journey, of course. And yeah, that's about it. Have a good night, everybody.
She was also in the middle of dyeing her hair.
I was gonna say it looks like she was dyeing her hair. Not as sad as seeing the hair dye on Tom Selleck's ear when he was dyeing his hair, but still pretty sad.
It is sad that she's still so focused on paparazzi photos. I think this has been a fixation of hers for a long time. Even back at the beginning of her, mental breakdown, you could call it. She was extremely plagued by insecurity about how she looked in paparazzi photos. I think at one point she even holed up in a hotel room and blacked out the windows with paint because she didn't want photos from the paparazzi of her unsuspecting or unposed. And this was something that caused her a lot of anxiety. I think it's gotten to the point where it's maybe a full-on, delusion.
Well, think about
what the paparazzi aren't following her. They do take unflattering photos of her all the time, and they do stalk her around LA, despite the fact that she's not really famous anymore. And that certainly doesn't make her feel any more, stable or secure in her life. But
think about the whole discussion we just had about that I just brought up about retaking photos and authenticity. And, if you don't like the way the photo looks, you can just delete it and take it again. I'm sure for a celebrity these days, there's a certain feeling of violation that comes from pictures being purposely taken when you're not looking to be having your photo taken. And then the worst of them, where the literal goal is to find the worst of them and share them with everybody. That has to be tremendously violating for them.
That's why she started traipsing around the city in wigs and huge sunglasses and hiding her face with her handbag and all this stuff. And people said, she's doing that because she's crazy. But I mean, in a way, the paparazzi are just as crazy as her.
No, they're not. They're unfortunately they have a very, very specific and somewhat evil business model.
I'm just saying, I don't think either of us would be able to make it in their line of work because we have more principles.
I don't think I couldn't.
We would feel bad.
I mean, we talk about the stuff though. It's like it's not like we don't bring attention.
If you
to
actually
it,
had to follow someone around and snap photos of them like that, that would not.
Yeah.
really, I would.
But I still feel like that's
feel
cope
about
on our.
that.
I feel like that's a little bit of cope on our part, where it's like, oh, we're not the ones taking the
Right.
photos. We're still discussing it and making it part of the show, which is still part of it. It's
I
just
do
farther
kid-
down the line.
I kid that like one of my dream jobs is becoming one of the TMZ reporters
I
who
think you'd be
follows a
great at it.
celebrity around and like asks them as many questions as possible before they peel off.
I wonder if they do like. I wonder if these photographers have like a set routine where it's like, I'm going to follow this person, so I got to do my research today, so I know what to ask them. What's their most recent scandal? What's their most recent embarrassment?
I'm sure Amanda Bynes and Justin Bieber could have a very fruitful conversation about their experience with being followed by paparazzi, since it seems to be sending Justin down a spiral of his own. This also reminded me, her face tattoo is still visible. She
Yeah.
got this heart tattooed on her face back in 2019, and I think it was not that long ago, she said she planned to get it removed last year, and still no sign of it fading, still fully visible.
She still had the OnlyFans.
So she's on her tattoo removal journey. She launched the OnlyFans just a couple of months ago. I have no idea the status of that. I'm not subscribed, but that was not for anything sexual. According to her, it was merely to have conversations with her fans.
Is there not like an app that they can use that doesn't have the same connotation, where it's like literally just discussion? But even then, it's not like that can't become gross.
Minect from
Yeah.
Patrick Bet
Does
David.
she have a cameo? She should have a cameo.
Yeah.
I bet you she's got a cameo.
I would pay for an Amanda Bynes cameo.
I bet you
for
she's
sure.
got a cameo.
That would be top dollar. Another celebrity has recently revealed her Ozempic use, and it's one we didn't expect. Lizzo has been on a weight loss journey, and all of this time that she's been losing weight and giving us progress updates on social media, she has claimed this is only due to lifestyle changes, moving more, and portion control, making smarter choices with her diet.
Well, she said she used to be a vegan, and she's not a
Yes.
vegan anymore, so she's cut out the caloric intake because she's not having as many carbs.
I mean, I was vegan for a while, and I was, by my own standards, kind of fat. So I think that
because
might be
were you just eating
legitimate.
more bread?
I mean, because
Starches?
you're probably deficient in nutrients, and it makes your body trick itself into being hungry more often.
Yeah, you like the more, I know the term that people like is empty calories, but the more junk food that you eat, the harder it is to feel full. I definitely fall
The
victim to
stereotype is
that.
like, oh, Oreos are vegan. That means they're healthy.
Yeah.
But Lizzo revealed that she has at least tried to use Ozempic to lose weight in a recent interview with Trisha Paytas, which I did not expect to be part of this headline. She said that so far she has lowered her BMI by 10.5 and lost 16% of her body fat since January 2024. She tried the weight loss drug Ozempic and other GLP-1 medications, but they were not effective for her. She said, I've tried everything. It's just the science for me. Ozempic works because you eat less food. It makes you feel full. So if you can just do that on your own and get mind over matter, it's the same thing.
Okay, I hate it. I hate that. She's like, it's just, just like she skated over the hardest part for a lot of people.
Mind
which
over
is
matter.
That reminded me. I completely forgot to send this to you, but I remember this was from like 2 months ago. There is one man who can beat Ozempic, and that is of course Tracy Morgan,
Yes.
who out-eats Ozempic.
Yeah, he's the Ozempic final boss. They couldn't get him. But I think that this just means Lizzo, as a professional athlete, has higher agency than most people who struggle with their weight.
She's got to be at least in shape enough to not blow up when she's doing concerts. She has to be able to dance on stage without losing, becoming out of breath instantaneously.
She's got more self-control than most people. If she's able to just put mind over matter, that's what most people using Ozempic for weight loss are not capable of doing, which is why it's exploded in popularity. So I think she's just saying my Ozempic is self-control, which people do not want to hear.
Yeah.
That is not going to be a popular message. And you alerted me to this. A lot of people are noticing their birth control is not working when they're on Ozempic.
Beware.
I think it was already well known, but I could be wrong. that the birth control pill does not work for women who are obese because it doesn't metabolize the same way.
Yeah, it says these medications delay the absorption of food, so they may also delay or reduce the absorption of the birth control pill.
I just thought that it was self-evident that you couldn't be on the birth control pill if you were obese, and if you're on Ozempic for weight loss, you're obese. So why would you assume it's any different now that you're on Ozempic? But yeah, they're saying there's this new...
I think you might be overthinking. I don't know if it's as common to know that being obese makes it less effective.
I guess so. But a doctor wouldn't tell an obese woman to get on the birth control pill for contraception purposes because it doesn't work. And now they're saying there's this new phenomenon of Ozempic babies. So you remember lockdown babies, COVID babies, people were stuck at home and had nothing better to do than reproduce. And there are a lot of COVID era babies for that reason. But now we're going to have an Ozempic baby boom because all of these people who assumed their birth control would work
the baby boomers are
were
bad.
sorely mistaken.
You think the baby boomers are bad? Wait till we get to the semaglutide baby boomers.
Mm-hmm.
GLP-1 baby
I don't know
boomers.
if it causes like birth defects or health issues in the children conceived, but I hope not. But yeah, this is the thing. Most people who are on Ozempic for the purpose of weight loss, who aren't taking it because they have diabetes, they just are not capable of losing weight the quote-unquote traditional way. Mm-hmm. And that's the hard truth. I think people like us who have more agency and more self-control are judging it from a very narrow perspective, and we just assume that other people approach life the same way. But if you were in the medical field, if you were a nurse or a doctor, you would know full well there are people that are just not capable of making lifestyle changes.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, in a perfect society, being obese would be the birth control because nobody would want to have sex with you.
You would hope, but I mean, since most people are overweight in this country, it's kind of like you become blind to it.
Yeah,
and I'm sure they pair up just fine.
I believe Lizzo probably tried it and then went off of it. Do I believe she tried it one time? Not really. I would imagine she gave it some. My bet is more like there's a whole host of people who tried it consistently until it had negative side effects and then they had to go off of it. Like, a lot of people aren't going to skip the easy way out unless there are real side effects to the easy way out. But you are correct that her being a professional and her having an active career, meaning that she has to be able to sing, she needs to be able to do work on stage, means that there's a lot more riding on it, and she can't just, she's not somebody who can just say, F it, I'm going to sit at home and eat chips all day, because she actually has concerts to perform and obligations she needs to fulfill, and has the benefit of being able to hire personal trainers and all that stuff. That's not to say that it doesn't make it your own responsibility, because that's my biggest pet peeve is whenever one of these celebrities gets into tremendous shape for a movie role, and then people are like, well, it's because they're privileged. I'm like, yeah, that's true, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna be any less dead if you get to be obese and then die. Like, eventually you have to figure it out yourself.
Right.
People do the same thing when they talk about the cost of food, when they say like, well, it's a privilege to be able to be thin because I can't afford to eat.
I saw that debate raging on X over the weekend, actually.
And the thing is that most of the time I agree with them. I'm like, okay, you're right. What are you gonna do about it? Because it's not like does you being right make it okay to like go to your grave knowing that you were right? That's not really going to help anything. Like, eventually at some point you have to rely on yourself to fix your own problem. Right.
You're not going to get the last word. You need to just deal with your own shit.
Yeah. So.
But Lizzo is smarter than she lets on.
I think so.
She was fat for a very self-serving reason.
Yep.
And it
now she's
obviously blew up her career.
Self-serving reason.
Yeah, she benefited immensely from being obese at the moment when it was advantageous for her, and before this cultural vibe shift hit. And as soon as being obese is no longer trendy, she's gonna hop on the weight loss bandwagon and enjoy the riches.
Yeah.
So I mean, get that bag, I guess.
All right, let's go to Superchats. Guys, come on. We're not even like halfway to a crisis party yet. What's everybody doing?
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Monday, Brett and Mary. You want a good way to lose weight? Food poisoning.
Ugh.
I'm about 80% recovered since Saturday. Somehow still made it to Mass and Vespers. I prayed for y'all at Vespers. Thank you. I hope you get well soon." Sounds awful.
It's always rewarding when you're not feeling well and you still go and fulfill your obligations. It's a very rewarding thing. Like that. Like one of my the things that keep me up at night is like getting sick and then not doing something that I need to do.
However, if you have something contagious, can you like not, go to church where you're going to give it to everybody else? Like I was at church recently and this woman behind me, she was quite close behind me, violently coughing. It was actually to the point where people were like craning their necks and turning around and being like, is this person dying?
Like I'm such an awkward person. Like the second I started crying, I just leave the room.
But then I heard the rustling of a grocery bag and this person was coughing and gagging into the grocery bag. And I was like, I can't do this right now. Like you should go home, please. Please.
I suppose.
I don't want to have whatever it is you have.
I suppose that means that they take church seriously and it is a true part of their emotional well-being if they were willing to risk your health.
Look, that's great, but like I don't want to die. I don't want to get your Ebola strain. Red Snow said, "Don't go on journeys, kids. Not even once.
Yep.
It's never a good idea." Not That Jon Stewart said, spoilers. Now my night is ruined. Oh, hi, Brett.
Yeah, I don't...
you were planning to see Materialists tonight, and I ruined it for you?
Yeah, they were
I'm sorry.
oh, darn. Like, I watched these retrospectives of shows from, 20 years ago, and they're like, spoiler warning. I'm like, if a person ever clicked on a video from a show that's 20 years old, and then where the title of the video is literally, so-and-so retrospective, and we're expecting no spoilers, you deserve to have the experience ruined for you.
Yeah.
Like that's like a weird version of Darwinism, of pop culture media Darwinism. You deserve to have it spoiled if you clicked on a review from Sons of Anarchy and then were pissed when you found out something that happens in a later season. I want it spoiled for you. You deserve it.
Damn, I didn't know you were that passionate about it.
I say that because I always forget to give spoiler alert when I do my reviews. And then I'm like, usually I get right before I hit the record button, I'm like, say spoilers. And then I usually think of it about 3 minutes in. It's too far in to start over.
Yeah. But
not so late that I forgot about it and don't have to worry about it. Because I always have to put it in the title anyways. But yeah, if you care about 20-year-old spoilers, it's your own fault.
Tacty Platty said Brett needs more Star Trek, less 24. What do you say?
No, I don't.
I'm shocked.
I'm quite enjoying 24. It's Olivia correctly pointed out that literally every character that isn't a main character is the most unhelpful person you've ever seen in your entire life, and most people in the show fall victim to making absolutely ridiculously stupid choices all the time. But so far, it's fairly interesting. I had to get past the first episode to really kind of get into watching, as he's trying to get his daughter back and save the presidential candidate and all of this stuff. But I probably won't watch past season 1. It's literally all action the whole time. And that's great, but I kind of like more of the middle ground. Also, unfortunately, I was reading something about one of the actors and then got spoiled in the later thing. I was like, that's my own fault.
Yeah, you got to.
I was reading and I was like, damn it.
Be victim to one of the spoilers.
But the thing is, that's my fault. I went looking for it.
Shane H. Wilder said the only good Pedro Pascal movie was The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, the Nick Cage movie with Nick Cage playing Nick Cage.
Yep.
I haven't seen that.
That's where that meme comes from of Pedro Pascal in the car with his face smiling.
Oh, the most recognizable Pedro Pascal meme is the one where he's laughing and then he starts crying.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah. I don't even know why that happened or if that was real.
All right, let's hold off on the rest and let's come back after.
Johnny Depp laughs at the idea that he needs to make a comeback in Hollywood. But he has been in projects here and there. He was in Jean du Barry. He's in a new movie coming out next year, and he has to do promo for it somehow. He sat down for a 4-hour-long rambling interview with the Sunday Times, and a lot of that addressed his Hollywood boycott, a time when a lot of his longtime friends and colleagues jumped ship and betrayed him when it was convenient for them. And that was especially at its height in 2022 during the defamation trial with his ex-wife Amber Heard. This was the title: Johnny Depp, I was a crash test dummy for Me Too. The actor opens up about the Amber Heard trial, his painful childhood, 40 years of fame, and the friends who turned their backs on him. And there were several quotes that were getting circulated where he addressed the Me Too movement and how he was kind of the lab rat, the guinea pig for how that would work. And now we're looking back on the Me Too movement after its death. I kind of wish they asked him for his opinion about the Justin Baldoni lawsuit.
Yeah, a good interviewer would have been like,
Yeah.
what does this most closely resemble in current year?
As a 62-year-old shut-in, he probably doesn't keep up with the news about that. He's talking about how
He's like, what the hell's Baha'i?
He holds himself up in his apartment in London. He watches weird YouTube videos.
Is that what you think he does?
No, he literally admitted that he does that.
That's what
he doesn't like going out with his friends anymore because he hates attracting attention. He still does make a wish, but
I would like to
only
know
under very
what-
controlled circumstances does he make any outing.
I wish he would have given more details about what those weird YouTube
I
videos
wanna
are.
know.
Like, that's
Yeah.
the most interesting thing we could be learning about here.
He's probably watching our show.
I would love to know what he considers weird and what he likes to go and watch.
So they asked him if he regrets the defamation trial with Amber Heard simply because it aired so much of his personal dirty laundry. No pun intended, with shit in the bed. And he said, it had gone far enough. I knew I'd have to semi-eviscerate myself. Everyone was saying it'll go away, but I can't trust that. What will go away? The fiction pawned around the effing globe? No, it won't. If I don't try to represent the truth, it will be like I've actually committed the acts I'm accused of. And my kids will have to live with it, their kids that I've met in hospitals. So the night before the trial in Virginia, I didn't feel nervous. If you don't have to memorize lines, if you're just speaking the truth, roll the dice. None of this is going to be easy, but I didn't care. I thought I'll fight until the bitter effing end. And if I end up pumping gas, that's all right. I've done that before.
That's a very enlightened perspective on the other side of pumping gas.
Uh-huh. And it did actually pay off for him, not just in the actual money. He was awarded $15 million
gave it all
in
to charity.
damages. And he actually needed that trial to revive his career. I don't think that he would have had as many opportunities if he didn't go through with it. Although he did lose his libel trial with The Sun in the UK just a couple years prior. They also mention an art installation that Johnny Depp revealed last year.
A lot of actors also fancy themselves. I mean, he's
Yes.
also a musician. Like, I think
he's into music. He's into
so many of
painting.
them are, though. That's not anything new.
Mhm.
Like, I remember like hearing about Hugh Laurie being in a band and hearing, all these actors that love to perform music as well.
Right. So he's finding his joy in what is that band that he started with Alice Cooper?
I forget.
He's doing music. He's just kind of doing passion projects. But last year he unveiled a painting that he titled Death by Confetti, which is a big metaphor about the industry. It pictures a pensive-looking skeleton in front of bright-colored dots. His voiceover at the art installation talks about how the Hollywood industry builds you up before letting you choke on the celebration, which is the confetti. And in the end, he says, you die. You actually die. And this brought the interview to people that threw him under the bus, people he worked with that ended up speaking out against him, either taking the side of Amber Heard and her accusations or just piling on with their own complaints. For instance, he's talking about his former agent, Tracy Jacobs. While talking about Amber Heard, Johnny Depp is imprecise. When it comes to the film industry, he is evidently furious about how the Hollywood power players who jumped off what they considered a sinking ship. His ire for them is passionate. She signed Johnny Depp in 1988. Tracy Jacobs, and made them both millions. And he sacked her in 2016, citing financial concerns, whatever that means. But during the Amber Heard trial, his former agent claimed that some Hollywood studios became reluctant to use Johnny Depp because of his reputation of being tardy to film
Late
sets.
to set? Yeah.
He disagrees, says that's totally untrue. As weird as I am, certain things can be trusted, and my loyalty is the last thing anybody could question. I was with one agent for 30 years, but she spoke in court about how difficult I was. That is death by confetti. These fake MFers who lie to you, celebrate you, say all sorts of horror behind your back, yet keep the money, that confetti machine going, because what do they want? Dough. I'll tell you what hurts. There are people, and I'm thinking of 3, who did me dirty. He doesn't name them. Those people were at my kids' parties, throwing them in the air. I understand people who could not stand up for me, because the most frightening thing to them was making the right choice. I was pre-Me Too. I was like a crash test dummy for Me Too. It was before Harvey Weinstein. And I think he might be referring to his divorce in 2016, because the trial didn't take place until much later. During the divorce proceedings, that was when Amber Heard first accused him of both emotional and physical abuse. But then in a joint statement from the couple shortly after, they clarified and said that they were not in any sort of physical altercations together.
This was a headline from 2017. Johnny Depp's latest role is the friend that's always late for brunch. There's whole articles and websites dedicated to him being late all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest thing to believe.
I'll put that on the manager. If you want him there at noon, say he's got to be there at 8.
Yeah, plan better. Plan
better.
around him.
Skill issue.
He's the star.
Skills issue.
He's the star. He gets to call the shots. But, you know, this was in 2016, before Harvey Weinstein got accused by countless women and had his downfall. It was almost like Johnny Depp went down before Harvey Weinstein. And he said, I sponged it. I took it all in. And so I wanted, from the hundreds of people I've met in the industry, to see who was playing it safe. And then he pauses and says, better go woke. Actual quote from the interview. But, you know, he's 62. He doesn't know that term is played out by now. He's kind of left behind. But yeah, I think it's interesting to hear Johnny Depp's perspective on the Me Too movement as a whole, after we're kind of all in agreement. There's a consensus now that the Me Too movement is dead. And that's not to say that accusations don't come out all the time. There was just this recent one with Tyler Perry.
Yep.
These allegations are coming out constantly. It's still a journalism cottage industry.
So I saw the Tyler Perry one. I saw the Fat Joe one. The Tyler Perry lawsuit's like $260 million. That's a big deal considering he has a whole ass studio in Georgia and is worth a crap ton of money. And the world would probably be a worse place without Madea movies. So.
And there's the Diddy trial, which is ongoing. Yeah. There's the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively lawsuit, which is going to trial next year. Also, so this is not the end of Me Too by far, but it has fallen out of the court of public opinion.
So also recently, Pirates of the Caribbean 6 cast update as Jerry Bruckheimer basically kind of vague books and says, like, we're going to bring back some of the cast, but doesn't say which members of the cast that is.
So do you think that Jerry Bruckheimer is one of those 3 people that he's referring to?
I mean, like, I guess their relationship goes back quite a few years, so maybe, but I would hope that he would patch things up. I think Jerry Bruckheimer is one of the better Hollywood producers as far as like stuff that I actually like to watch. So I think it can only be a net positive if they're working together. But yeah, basically Jerry Bruckheimer says we're working on a screenplay. Hopefully we'll get it right and then we'll make it. We really want to make it, and that's for sure. And then just talks about like with not all new actors, we'll have some back. But it's, if you're going to call it Pirates of the Caribbean, it better have Johnny Depp in it. Otherwise it's not Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, it's Pirates of the Caribbean starring Ayo Edebiri.
Or Margot Robbie.
Or there were countless other rumors that haven't come true yet. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But
and Amber Heard is still working.
Yes. She just announced a new project.
A play.
She's in a play called Spirit of the People.
It's being presented as part of the 2025 Williamstown Theater Festival. Wait, does that mean is that in America? So she's going to have to come back. Where'd she move to? Italy?
Spain, I think.
Is that where she moved?
Yeah, she's living in Spain with her Elon Musk test tube babies, allegedly. But they say that Spirit of the People confronts uncomfortable truths about land and what it means to destroy it.
So is this going to be like a climate change thing? Is this going to be...
I think it's about colonization.
Is it going to be a colonization
That's what
thing?
it sounds like.
There's so many interesting stories I could never care about.
Yeah, I mean, there were positive reviews for that, I forget what it was called, but it was that Martin Scorsese movie last year starring Leonardo DiCaprio.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yes, that one, that did well because of the star power behind it, but nobody is genuinely interested in a, it's an activist movie. That's what it is.
I could fill a theater with how little I care about this.
And Amber Heard doesn't need to work because she's an Elon Musk sugar baby. Allegedly.
Don't
allegedly.
Yeah. So look, it is interesting to think about what somebody who's been through what he's been through years on. I actually think that it's just as interesting to think about what Amber Heard is thinking if she was being honest with her thoughts rather than whatever prepackaged crap she has to deliver. But I'd like to hear what she thinks about it. Like, some type of like diary of a psychopath.
A little
allegedly
a Gone Girl moment.
Yeah, like the funniest version of it is Amber Heard like admitting she made it all up and being like, I was acting a little crazy that day. I'm sorry. I was acting a little crazy that year.
Even if she said that, they wouldn't go to retrial. They wouldn't mistrial. Like it would still be the same outcome. So it doesn't even matter. But it is funny how one part of this interview they ask Johnny Depp how he felt about watching his ex-wife, whom he once loved, getting dragged by millions of people, not only on social media, but also people who showed up to the courthouse and screamed obscenities at her. How did he feel about that? Was there sort of a conflict within him watching that happen? And then he kind of dodged that question, not even in a calculated way. He's just so artistic that he can't help but, wax poetic about my upbringing and watching the stilettos flinging in my household as a 9-year-old and my mom Betty Sue and this was his way of like bloviating about his childhood trauma.
They should make
and he's like, what does love really mean?
They should make skits like normal person tries to talk to Hollywood to self-important actor.
Asking Johnny Depp if he were really in love with Amber Heard is the same thing as asking Jordan Peterson if he believes in God, because he's gonna go, well, what does fall and what does in and what does love and what does with mean? We need to really start from scratch and deconstruct all of it to really understand.
See, that's what makes Jordan Peterson so good at his job, but would be more interesting is like a vlog channel where he just talks like a normal person.
Maybe Jordan Peterson videos are some of the weird YouTube videos Johnny Depp is watching. We don't know.
I could see that.
I bet he's Jordan Peterson
Jordan Peterson used to do all sorts of lectures dissecting Disney movies and classic stories. Has he ever did he dissect Sleepy Hollow, specifically the Johnny Depp one?
I bet Johnny Depp watches Jonathan Pajot videos about Snow White.
They did put Public Enemies on streaming, which is one of his that was Johnny Depp, right? The Michael Mann movie. Maybe that's what he's watching. I want to watch that with him. All right, let's go to some super chats.
AI Shih Tzu said, with the whole Iran sleeper cell threat in the news, it reminds me to mention it's a great time to rewatch seasons 1 through 3 of NCIS where Ziva is introduced.
Yeah, look, as the boomers die out, the pro-Israel messaging will, theoretically die out in these shows with it, even with the demographic makeup of Hollywood. Like, those first 3 seasons are unapologetically pro-Israel in a way that's actually really, really funny, because it was never controversial. At least growing up, I never thought of it as controversial, but now it definitely is. In the show, her half brother, her father is the head of Mossad.
Oh.
And her half brother was sent by her father to go live with his mother in the Gaza Strip, where he's a doctor. And in the show, basically, he intentionally got a woman from Gaza pregnant so that he could have a son that would be a sleeper cell in Hamas. And in the show, she has to kill her own half brother to get in good with America. And it's because he ends up hating his dad and turning on the Mossad and actually becoming a terrorist. Like, contracted out to, at the time, Al-Qaeda, because that was what was in the news in 2003 or 2005.
So not a sleeper cell.
No. I mean, I guess kind of, like, in a weird way, he was a sleeper cell against the Mossad. Like, he was working there, but really was actually working against them. It was really interesting, and there was never any moral questions in that show about who you're supposed to support in any way. More than a few times, Hamas terrorists there. I think that he might be talking about the Hamas sleeper cell that was in like season 9. And in that one, the Hamas members that get caught basically taunt the Americans and are saying, like, I pity you for reasoning yourself into a holy war geopolitically, financially, when for us, we've known nothing else but this. And he's never shown to have an ounce of reasoning. It's just like, you're supposed to believe, no, it's completely okay for America to be involved in this. It doesn't question it at all. It's very interesting, but it's never shown in a way where you question what he's saying.
I reposted that Tucker Carlson interview with Britney Spears over the weekend where she says, I think we should just trust the president and whatever he does and just be faithful. Yeah. And then Tucker is like, do you trust the president? And she's like, yes, I do. And then he's like, excellent. Even though now obviously
Tucker
says he was
like,
wrong about Iraq. Yeah. Funny stuff. Omega Red fan said, you can tell Miley is a heel by the way she flops.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be LeBron when he gets a job acting. He's going to flop on screen, both as an actor and he'll like flop backwards and fall over.
I'm so confused.
Well, I mean, in this case, I think they're talking about her. Like, has her new music done well? Does she have new music out?
She has a new album.
Is it doing well?
No.
Then it's flopping.
No, yeah. She's flopping in every way. No Control said, did Ezra Miller have to choke a biatch?
Apparently.
I don't think he had to. I think, he
does it purely for the love of the game.
Yeah. He deemed it necessary that one fateful day.
All right, let's hold off on the rest. Let's move on. Mary wants to hate on Benson Boone.
Yes, Benson Boone is a relatively new pop star in the making, and he is a progenitor of this genre that is derogatory called hooting and hollering. And he has just released his new album, which is called American Heart. On the cover, he is shirtless and draped in the American flag, just in time for July 4th.
What's it called? What's the genre called again?
Hootin' and hollerin'.
So is that supposed to be like Stomp Clap for Gen Z rather than millennials?
It's the successor to Stomp Clap music, for sure. But it's definitely more poppy than that. It has synths and
not as many fake banjos.
Yeah. Benson Boone got his album trashed in Variety, who said he wrote his album in only 17 days, and unfortunately it sounds like it. American Heart makes scattered attempts to capture the cheekiness and cockiness that define Benson Boone's performing image, but ultimately falls short. And then from there, the hate bandwagon for Benson Boone was all aboard. Choo-choo. And I have to admit, I'm on the Benson Boone hate train.
Yeah, you've been unapologetically.
I kind of can't stand this guy.
Yeah. It's mainly due to that song.
But he seems so well-meaning and so naive.
And that makes you hate him even more. And
I know that kind of just that grinds my gears even more. That he's so like starry-eyed and optimistic. And
guys, women just don't want you to be happy. You heard it here first.
So in a recent interview promoting the album, he compares his religious uncertainty, he has a background as a Mormon, I believe, to politics, another subject he's not super eager to get into in detail. He says, people think if you have 1 or 2 views that are on the left or right side that you have to be the left or on the right. And I don't think that's how it is. He does want to make it clear that calling his album American Heart isn't meant to drag him into culture wars. It's not political at all, he says. It's more of a personal thing. It's just me. American Heart is my heart. And it's not my heart because it's American. It's my heart because I'm Benson Boone.
There's the image if you're wondering.
That's some, like, it matters not what you've done, but what you do with what you've done for others type shit.
Bro, I don't even know what that means.
Right there. Like that, he went to the Kamala School of Word Salad.
Yeah.
So yeah, his album and also his personality, his look, his jumpsuits, his entire persona is getting dragged into oblivion right now. And I think he's trying his best to keep a brave face and appear unbothered by the hate. In this new TikTok, he responded to some of the criticisms about reheating nachos.
Yeah, here we go. Let's watch this here.
Write better songs. Your songs are trash. You're so inauthentic. You're reheating nachos, bitch. Okay.
Like, do you just agree with them?
Valid. I can pivot. I can try something new. Write better songs.
The album has been out for like 2 minutes and you're already agreeing with the people who hate it.
So here's the thing. I empathize with his position, which is like trying to seem unbothered and charitable, but it just screams weakness to people that don't know you.
They can sniff that out from a mile away, and they're circling like sharks.
I feel like it's like a woman would find this lack of confidence disgusting.
It gives me the ick.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, in his TikTok bio, he describes himself as Pedro Pascal's son. So he inherited the ick from Pedro Pascal, his spiritual father. His fan base, they're called the Booners. Booners.
I mean, that's what you'd call boomer gooners.
Why? Just why? He also addressed more of the backlash in the music video for his single, Mr. Electric Blue. And you can see from these stills, he's wearing a t-shirt that says One Hit Wonder. And then he is pointing to discount jumpsuits. He's running in a field with a shirt that says inauthentic.
Yeah, he's trying too hard to seem unbothered now.
And he's
like he had to hire a photographer to show you how unbothered he was. Or unless his label is.
Benson Boone's agent working at Industry Plant Records because he's been accused of being an Industry Plant countless times.
There should be a record company called Industry Plant Records. That's a very good idea.
It's a good idea, yeah.
Especially if you think of it as like Industry Plant, like a manufacturing plant, not Industry Plant like they were planted there.
Right. I think they should capitalize on that while it lasts.
He's so unbothered. He's so in his own lane that he's in another lane. Like he's in his own lane so much that he's swerved into somebody else's lane.
And I can't knock him because he is talented. Like, he has a good voice. He is crazy good at, like, doing these backflips and stunts on stage. And whatever he's doing with his brand, it seems to be working. He's reached mainstream success. He's getting hundreds of millions, if not billions of streams on Spotify from what I've checked.
I see this and it's like they were trying to, somebody saw Morgan Wallen and wanted to make a pop version of him that everybody would hate.
I think that he's more derivative of Harry Styles, if anything, which I never liked in the first place. I had to hear this guy's new song when I was at a retail store.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I imagine a lot of people hear his music, is at retail stores.
But that's the point, right? He's so marketable that people end up hating him just out of spite. And one person who is defending him said the Benson Boone hate is crazy because he literally did nothing. Put your energy into hating people like Chris Brown or Morgan Wallen.
See? I did see Mia Khalifa threw her, cum rag in the ring by saying that people who listen to Morgan Wallen are all racist.
Really?
Yeah. She made the blanket statement.
Her cum rag.
Sorry.
Okay. I think that a big reason why Benson Boone attracts this much anger and hatred is because he kind of has this like golden retriever energy, like he's just happy to be here, and he doesn't have a chip on his shoulder. He's just like trying his best, you know,
That would have
shows up
been-
with a smile.
Like, is there a precedent for that in pop music? There's certainly a precedent for humility, I suppose. But back in the day, you would have been like isolated from the negative feedback because you wouldn't have had social media. So I can't think of who has golden retriever energy in the past.
I mean, Britney Spears
Was Justin Bieber
at
like
the beginning
that?
of her career, Justin Bieber at the beginning of his career, but it gets definitely trained out of you once you reach a high level of success, because you realize these people just want to eat you alive, you know? So
Yeah.
I'm assuming Benson Boone is going to have his reputation era any minute now. He's going to go on his revenge arc, and he's not going to be the nice Mormon boy that we once knew.
Yeah, that's worse.
Mhm.
I'd rather he like, you know what he should do? Like hard pivot and just start making like gospel music.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have compared him to Hillsong style vocals.
He'll start a band, Benson Boone and the Hillsongs.
They say Benson Boone is like Harry Styles for people who go to mega churches, you know?
I mean, I just see it as the next round of music you have to hear in a mall.
Mhm.
Like for the people that still find themselves in malls.
Or if you're at like a Home Goods or a Hobby Lobby or a TJ Maxx, he's
Yeah.
going to be blaring from the speakers.
I'll never have a
it's
problem-
just Muzak.
I will never have a problem like this because it just seems like it's just another reassuring sign that the cycle will always continue. You will always have mediocre pop stars. You will always have artists like this who are just there.
Well, I think I've actually complained about the fact that we have this shortage of straight white male pop stars. And I said Justin Bieber has got to be probably the last one.
Yeah.
But then Benson Boone showed up on the scene.
They heard you and they were like, fill the
And I was
spot.
like, that is not what I meant. Like, Benson Boone is not a teen heartthrob. Nobody likes this guy.
No.
Like, I think even the people who listen to his music don't really know anything about him as a person. Like, he doesn't have a fan base around him.
The Booners.
Other than the Booners. How many Booners are? I mean, there are dozens of them, I'm sure. But
I mean, I guess the worst part about being a celebrity now is you have to give your followers a name.
I'm just saying, like, there's
The
no such
Macracists.
thing as Bieber fever in regard to Benson Boone.
No.
Like, he's just not filling that vacuum.
No, well, I guess correspondingly, there was the feeling that Justin Bieber was an industry plant because he got all the success, but then you couldn't deny the actual success because, you know, teenage girls loved him.
Well, the whole term is hotly debated because almost every musician, you could say, with a huge marketing arm behind them and a record label and promotion, is an industry plant of sorts. It's just some cases are more obvious than others.
Yeah.
Maybe you could say Justin Bieber was an industry plant that then caught on. Benson Boone, in his own way, is an industry plant, and it's not going as well for him as it did for his predecessors.
Just a different era. I mean, it's not an era for straight male pop stars anymore.
And it's also proof that at this point, snark sells better than earnestness.
And
you know,
I hate
people
that
say like,
personally.
"Oh, earnest is making a comeback. Sincerity is making a comeback." Like, nobody likes cringe culture anymore. We want to be authentic. But then someone like Benson Boone executes that, and everyone hates it. Like, there was this guy, I forget his name, but he went viral for all the wrong reasons with this song, like Married in a Year. I think it's called Married in a Year. And he was also accused of hooting and hollering. And the song is like, "You'll be married in a year in the summer with a kid on the way in 3.
I think I remember
Convincing
you
yourself
saying you
you're
hated that
living the
song.
American dream." Yeah, that's the point, is like he's talking about his, you know, high school sweetheart who ended up marrying some other guy, and she'll never be happy like she was with me, and I'm
think,
cool because I tour and a nomad, you know, whatever. But people were hating on him because he has Benson Boone energy. Like he,
I think
it's too sincere.
I think that sincerity and earnestness works now for movie and script writing rather than snark. But for the people that love pop music, they want to talk like they're in the comment section from Pop Base and Pop Crave, which is full of snark and stupidity. It's actually the lowest life form I can think of. I hate it more than anything on earth, that type of snark. I despise it, actually. But it's what he's doing is not the market for his industry. He would have to switch genres.
And something you mentioned off air is that he just hasn't lived a lot of life yet. So how is he going to write songs that are interesting? He's 22 or turning 23 soon, and was just struck with this massive success that he didn't expect. And he's writing songs about moonbeam ice cream. Like, I don't know what that means, dude.
He's gonna have to collab with Cher next.
Ugh.
And Madonna.
Scooby Dooby Dooby. It's such a bad place for music right now. Like, all the pop music is snarky, boss bitch, self-love, revenge.
Oh, we're on the AI music
loveless
cusp now.
Promiscuity.
I listened to this whole album. I listened to this whole AI album from a band called Spectronite. It's just AI emo synth, and they release like an album every week because it's AI.
I can't force myself to listen to that either.
But he is now in a genre that is dead to straight white dudes.
Well, he's going to be on a lot of wedding playlists.
Yes.
I'll give him that.
All right. All right. Let's finish these super chats. Let's get to a crisis party, guys. Come on.
Shane H. Wilder said, Ezra looks like a chihuahua wearing a bandana. Yeah. I mean, a scary chihuahua. He was doing the Kubrick stare at those interviewers. Did you notice that? I would have felt unsafe.
He's probably on drugs.
Yeah. I mean, I would not want to be interviewing Ezra Miller. I'd be like on high alert.
I mean, as long as you're not a woman and you're not in the vicinity of any chairs, you might be okay.
I saw chairs in that video. If there's a chair within reach,
maybe they were all staked into the grass.
It will fly. No Control said cats do their little turn on the catwalk. Do your cats do this, Brett?
Our cats
model?
do not like to have their photos taken. It's sad. Chloe will put up with it sometimes. Toast is better than Chloe. Mocha does not like to have her photo taken, probably because she knows she looks stupid. But we love her anyways.
They're not cats of Instagram. Shane H. Wilder said, when did Boomhauer from King of the Hill become a pickup artist?
That clip was definitely painful to watch.
You know, she just couldn't handle his aura. She couldn't match it. You know, she knew that he was way out of her league, and
that is true.
She couldn't handle it. Pop Culture Junkie said, I know for a fact that the top-tier TMZ paparazzi do a fair amount of homework and specialize getting shots of certain celebrities. Well, they have to. It's one of the most demanding jobs. I think they talk about needing to go everywhere with a suitcase in case they get a call for travel to someplace.
Yeah.
You know, they have to hang out at airports and wait for celebrities to get off of commercial flights. And
Value in You says, what would it take for Mary to tell the bar fight story? I guess somebody hasn't heard the bar fight story.
I have told it.
At the very least, I want a crisis party.
Should we wait until there's a crisis party?
There better be a crisis party if they want to hear the story.
Yeah, we're going to have to... Actually, you know, I'm not even going to tell it unless we get to 2.
Okay.
If I'm being honest.
Because you've told it before.
I've told it before. You can go do your homework and find that episode, but, you know, you're clearly a fake fan if you don't know the story. Shane H. Wilder said, luckily food poisoning is not contagious. Also, Saturday was the worst day. I'm well enough for mass and memeing Mary mocking Benson Boone. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever had food poisoning. I don't think
never in all of your how many years?
I'm gonna be 39 like in 2 weeks, so I don't think I've ever.
You're almost 39 years.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had food poisoning. Lucky me.
What are your plans for your birthday?
Originally, it was going to be go see Jurassic World because it's getting a Wednesday release.
So is that your plan?
No, because I have to do IRL that night. So maybe I'll go see it on Thursday and count that as my birthday to go see a movie about dinosaurs.
Shane H. Wilder said the band is the Hollywood Vampires, named after the 70s rock star drinking club of which Alice Cooper is the only surviving member.
I saw somebody in the chat say, I don't know, Hollywood Undead or something. He was definitely not in the Hollywood Undead, though. It would have been funny to hear Johnny Depp guest appear on a Hollywood Undead song.
You know what? I'm gonna say it. Hollywood Undead is better than the Hollywood Vampires.
Then this is fighting words.
Go ahead. Try to refute me. You can't. No Control said Booners Gooners.
See, that's what he should have called them.
I can't stand it.
And then somebody took my idea because I said a boomer that goons is a booner.
I hate it. Thanks, I hate it. AI Shih Tzu said Dharma and Greg reboot when? What would it be like?
I never watched Dharma and Greg, but that's the one with Thomas Gibson, right? The guy who played Hotchner in Criminal Minds.
Sounds familiar.
I never watched it because I didn't watch sitcoms.
Yeah.
They'd just be old now.
Ended in 2002.
They'd just be old. It'd just be them but old.
It's kind of sad.
Who was he in it with?
Says Jenna Elfman, Thomas Gibson, Greg Montgomery.
Yeah. They already brought back, what was the one with Eric McCormick? I don't remember the name of it. But a lot of those sitcoms will end up... They brought Frasier back.
Yeah, I still am not sure if I want to give it a chance. I've heard mixed reviews. Surinko Productions said Benson Boone is as bad at being inauthentic as Meghan Markle is at being authentic. Maybe they should collaborate and learn from each other. LOL.
That's a good idea.
Wait, so Benson Boone is trying to be inauthentic?
Doesn't make any sense to me.
I guess. Whatever he's doing isn't working. Needs to go to some kind of crisis PR boot camp.
Yeah, thank you, Kristen. Will and Grace. They brought back Will and Grace eventually, right? Am I wrong about that?
Sounds like.
If you want to watch Eric McCormick not in that role, you should watch the show Perception, if you can find it somewhere, and also Travelers, which was on Netflix. Bleak, depressing, but halfway decent science fiction.
Shane H. Wilder said Benson Boone is Temu brand Freddie Mercury with an album cover that looks like AliExpress Jim Morrison.
I guess it would be that would be because of the outfits and the mustache.
I can't stand the mustache. The mustache and the mullet combo. Like, he's not the one who started it, but he needs to be the one that ends it.
Yeah.
I cannot stand seeing men with the mustache and mullet combo in real life. It's just, that everyone's doing it, right? Like, that you just look like an NPC. And it doesn't really look good on any of them.
The mullet will never look good to me. That's just personal opinion.
I mean, you could maybe be handsome and get away with it, but it's not improving your situation.
Yeah.
Pop Culture Junkie said, thanks for fine-tuning my industry plantometer.
Well, who's another example of a current year industry plant? And do industry plants only apply to music?
Well, I mean, a lot of people think Pedro Pascal is an industry plant.
Okay, yeah.
I think Bella Ramsey is an industry plant, to be honest. There's no way that she would be at her level of fame and success if it weren't for basically affirmative action for ugly people.
Did you see I saw your post the other day where somebody's like, when are we going to have purposely ugly people in Hollywood?
Yeah, she was like, feminism this, feminism that. When are we going to see women being purposefully ugly in media? That would be radical. And I'm like, hello? Like, are you just living in a totally different universe?
Also, like,
we've been dealing with that.
Setting aside the fact that that's a ridiculous statement to make, given what we've seen over the last 10 to 15 years, why would you want that?
Well, to, protest the male gaze or something, the patriarchy.
Okay.
I guess. That's why a lot of them are mad at me about my recent.
My
recent TikTok about
guys
man
would never
repeller fashion.
Okay, but guys would never would manosphere dudes want purposely ugly women?
Well, the alternate for them would say, why don't we have purposefully ugly men in media?
Oh, they
right?
do. It's called sitcom dads, and that's part of their charm. They're not even purposely ugly. They're just not traditionally.
There's no comparison because men and women are different, but they're saying that it would be radical as a middle finger to patriarchal beauty standards.
Okay.
And I'm saying, you know, if you're obsessed with being ugly in a way to like get negative attention from men, you're clearly obsessed with men. Therefore, I'm more feminist than you because I don't get dressed in the morning thinking about how to offend people, or especially not about what men will think of my outfit.
Yeah.
So in a way, I'm kind of beating them at their own game, but I don't think they have the cognitive processing power to really understand that point.
The problem I always have with those types of questions is like, I don't have the instant recall to be like, oh, look, I know I've seen the beauty standards in Hollywood plummet over the last 10 years. But if somebody brings that up in like a debate, I'm not going to have a bunch of names on the top of my head. Like, that's why I would never be successful in debating stuff like that. Even though you know it, I know it, everybody knows it, but I can't think off the top of my head. Bella Ramsey's the first one that I can think of, and that's just because you brought it up right now.
Would you say Rachel Zegler is an industry plant?
Oh, an industry plant. I mean, I guess, in the sense that Hollywood loves to do musicals now, and they want to. She fell at the tail end of Disney trying to shoehorn race swaps in, and they love musicals, but it's not like
Zendaya.
She's not even.
Zendaya's an industry plant, right?
I guess, yeah.
We can confidently.
But she was
say
but she was Disney, right? So
yeah.
It doesn't fall the same way. Like when I think of an industry plant, I think of somebody who comes kind of fully developed in adulthood, not coming off the Disney factory line.
Well, if that's the formula, Pedro Pascal definitely qualifies.
But he's not, though. Like I said, like Game of Thrones was in 2010, and I can give you 3 appearances just off the top of my head of shows that I saw him in before his big break.
Well, okay.
So he's not an industry plant.
But you've seen like everything. I never heard of Pedro Pascal prior to The Mandalorian. I didn't know who he was. And I guess that's the same for most people. Like they hadn't heard of him before The Mandalorian.
I think of him as more of somebody who was in it for a long time, and his big break came because he was the right image for the industry at the time, which was older, inoffensive, unproblematic by their standards, and non-threatening.
In music, though, Gracie Abrams is an industry plant.
Because she's the daughter of J.J. Abrams. And
she is a Nepo baby, but she's also an industry plant because, like, I've listened to her music. There's no way that people are genuinely blown away by this girl's talent. Like, I just don't buy it. And I have a little warning for the next one. Her best friend, who wrote a lot of the songs on her album, is named Audrey Hobart, and they're going to AstroTurf her into one of the next pop stars. I swear right now. Bookmark this. I am predicting the future. Audrey Hobart is going to be an industry plant pop star in the next 2 years. I'll be vindicated, I swear.
All right.
Pat the Plumber said Theo Von is the only person who should be allowed?
I think he meant left alone to rock a mullet.
Alone to rock a mullet. I mean, sure, it works for him, and it's more like kind of part of his brand. But I just don't think anybody looks better with a mullet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there are hot women who can get their hair cut really short and they can look fine. But it's not helping. It's not improving.
It's something you have to overcome.
Yeah.
It's not there to benefit.
You can be hot in spite of the pixie cut.
Okay.
Not because of it.
All right. It's so funny. So in the chat, Zen Wolfbear says Materialist wasn't terrible. And Petran says, not as good as The Mentalist. I agree. And I haven't even
It
seen
was terrible. I'm sorry. You're wrong. Materialists left me feeling empty inside.
Zen Wolf Bear says, do a deep dive on Theo. He's the plant.
A lot of people think that Theo Von is an industry plant in the podcasting world.
There's a lot of discussions.
What's the argument? Like,
there's a lot of discussions about like AstroTurf.
I told the story. What's going on?
Making sure we still connected, guys. Stream died, I think. We back?
Oh no. F's in the chat.
Back? Okay. OBS quit on us for a second there. That was disconcerting.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Just as we're going off the air, too. All right. All right, guys. Before we go, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. I want to thank you guys all again for joining us on this Monday. I asked if everybody has a case of the Mondays, and some people said yes. So happens to the best of us. Where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram at MaryArchived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also MaryArchived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also MaryArchived.
I like that. Are you settling into like?
I think I like that one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Guys, if you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. We are here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than watch this show, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which always helps out the channel. So thank you guys so much for that. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at PopCulture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see y'all then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.